Hello, my name is Aya Sar Al-Wasif, and I will be demonstrating operations using the skipless visualizer as well as using this coin flip generator to use for the skipless. So let us start off with 20. Let us start by inserting 20 using 110 coin flips. It is important to note that in this case, each one is a heads and a 0 is a tails, and we will continue to flip until we get a 0. So in this case, we flip 3 times. I've got 2 heads and then the tails. So the next one, we want to insert a 40. So we will flip. We got 1 heads, 2 heads, 3 heads, and a tail. So 1, 1, 1, 0, 40, and then we'll be inserting. So, yes. Now we will be inserting 10, so let's flip. We got a tail, so immediately a 0. We will be inserting 10, so let's insert and pause. So right now, we have the simulator or the generator checking if 10 is within the range of -infinity and 10, which it is. So it will. Since this is less than, since the key to the right, which is 40, is greater than 10, we will move down, and it will do the same. It'll check again if it's greater than 20. It is not, so it will move down again, and it will go all the way to the bottom. And now that we're at the bottom, there's nowhere else for it to go, so the search is finished because there's no number that is greater than less than 10 but greater than 20, or the other way around. So it will insert the key in between, and it will stop there because we only flipped a tails. However, if there were something like a heads, it would have inserted also on the list above it. So now we will insert a 20. Let's flip for it. We got 1 heads, 2 heads, 3 heads, 4 heads, and the tail. So 1, 4 ones and a 0, and we will be inserting 20. Now move all the way to the bottom, and the search is already there. The key's already there, so it won't insert it. Now let's insert a 5 and flip. Got 1 heads, 2 heads, and tails. So insert. Now we will insert 80. So let's flip. Got 1 heads, insert 100. Now let's flip for it. 1 heads, 2 heads, 3 heads, and a tail. So 3 heads and a tail. Insert. Go all the way to the bottom after 80. And I'll stop there. We'll stop there. So next we will be inserting back 20, but using, instead of 2 heads and a tail, just 1 heads and tails. So I'll insert, pause. So now we'll be making the comparison if it's within, like I said, within the range of, if it's less than, it'll be checking if it's less than 40. It is, so we will hit play. And it'll go down because it is, and if it's, and because it is greater than, the key to the right is less than the target, it will move right. So 5 is less than 20, so it'll move into the right, and then it will check if it's less than 40. It is, so it will stop there and it'll move down. So it'll go down and go down again because it's the same comparison. It'll go down again. And it will compare, it will see if 10 is less than 20. It is, so it'll move to the right. And then it will check if it's still, it will make the comparison if 20 is less than 40. It is, so it will stop. And you can't move any further down, so it will just insert 20 in between 10 and 40. And it will go back up to when it was, the coin flip was, it'll go up 1 layer because we flipped the heads, so it'll go all the way up and it'll stop there. Now we will insert 30 and flip for it, and that's only a 0, so it'll only go in the bottom layer, the bottommost layer here. So it's checking if 5 is in this list. It is not, so it's going to move down. And if 5 is in, it also checked if 5 is in that target range of negative infinity and 40, and so it went down. And now is checking if the key to the right is less than or equal to the target. It is equal to, so it will move into the right. It will go into the 5 node, and it will go down, and it will keep moving down because there is no number that is greater than 5, there is no number that is greater than 5 but also less than 5, so it will keep on going down. It will keep on going down all the way to the bottom, and it can't move any further, so it will remove 5 from all layers. And now we insert 50 and we flip for it and got tails. So we put in 0 and we insert. So it's checking if it's in that range, it'll check if it's within this range, it'll keep on going, and it'll stop here. Now, lastly, we will look up 80. So we don't have to flip coins for that. So right now it's gonna check if 80 is less than 40. It is not, so it's gonna move right. And it's gonna check if it's less than 100. It is, so it's gonna move down. and now it's going to check if 80 is less than or equal to 80, and it'll move to the right because it's equal to, and then it will check again. It will compare 80 to 100, and check that if the key of the right is greater than it, which is 100. 100 is greater than 80, so it will move down, and it will go all the way to the bottom. And now that it's found we're at the bottom, it can't go any further, so the key is found right here at the bottom list. And with that, it kind of shows the efficiency of using a skip list rather than a sorted list, because with a sorted list you would have to go through all this entire bottom row here. So here, if we were going to go to 80, we'd have to check if 80 is less than 10, if it's 10, if it's 20, if it's 30, if it's 40, if it's 50, if it's 80, and then you can check if it's 100. So that is 7 comparisons that has to make. Whereas here we started from the top, we made 1 comparison, 2 comparisons, 3 comparisons. We actually we made 1 here, 1 here, that's 2, 1. We made essentially 4 comparisons until we reached the bottom, so it's much less. And this is just a small list, so it doesn't seem as much of a big deal. But when you have a list with 1,000, a million nodes and keys, and you're looking for something, this is more efficient, because you have, with these coin flips, the probability of you getting, and despite it happening not once but twice, like 4 heads and then a tails, is quite rare. So you have less nodes at the top, and that means that you'll be making less comparisons at the top and making your way down, which is why it's more efficient. And eventually it becomes a big O log n, in the sense of like the number of comparisons made compared to the linked list. And it's not guaranteed. In this case, the bottom list is sorted, but it's not guaranteed that would be the case. And if that were the case, you'd be making even more comparisons to make sure that you'd have to go through the entire list. You wouldn't just stop. So that's why a skip list is much more efficient. But yeah, it's essentially checking if it's within 2 ranges, and making the ranges smaller until you make that comparison, and that's what makes it so efficient.